Alright, this past weekend at UFC Fight Night Kansas City, one of the most loved and adored fighters on the UFC roster in the history of the UFC, Max Blessed Holloway, had his hands full with what was on paper one of his hardest fights to date against the surging young prospect Arnold Allen. There were a lot of questions going into this fight, to say the least. After the 3 losses to Alex Volkanovski, there was a lot of talk of Max potentially being done after taking so much damage over his career, but he put all of that to bed with a great performance, not unlike any of his other past wins. His boxing was crisp, his timing was excellent, his defensive movement, his head movement, everything was there. The guy looked just as good as ever. And the huge knockdown at the end of the 5th round to put a stamp on it. While this was a great performance, and if you're a Max Holloway fan, you'd love to see him still cement his position on top of the featherweight division, with this fight being a #1 contender fight, at least on the side of Arnold Allen. Holloway's win makes the featherweight division one of the most confusing divisions to figure out going forward. The next title fight is set in stone, Yair Rodriguez versus Alex Volkanovski, but the problem is, who's next? While Max Holloway is clearly deserving of a 4th fight, there's no way we can make that happen. It just kind of wouldn't make sense. Even with a win, with Volkanovski's long reign as a champion, what's the next step? Do they have to run it back again? I mean, if Max ends up winning the 4th fight, you kind of have to have a 5th. And then if Yair Rodriguez ends up beating Volkanovski, I think Alex still deserves an immediate rematch. Max has now beaten everybody in the top 5 of the featherweight division. There's really no other fight for him unless he wants to fight down in the rankings. And there are a couple fun fights there for him. There's Josh Emmett, the one guy that he has not fought at the top of the division. That could be a fun fight. 2 guys that like to keep the fight on the feet and stay in boxing range. The power of Josh Emmett versus the speed, accuracy, and volume of Max Holloway. And then after the fights, he brought up that a fight against the Korean Zombie would be a lot of fun. 2 of the all-time greats in the featherweight division going at it. That could be awesome. But the problem is, Max would clearly be the favorite to win both of these fights. And if that were to happen, what do you do with him next? We've already seen him go up to lightweight in a fight against Dustin Poirier, which he lost, but he definitely made a great showing of himself. And being a guy that didn't take the time to physically acclimate himself to the heavier division, I think that Max taking some time off, putting on some healthy weight, and going up to lightweight might be a good idea. With all the damage he's taking, him going into fights being a little bit less dehydrated would probably preserve his chin for a little bit longer. And at 5'11", he is going to be one of the taller lightweights. The only problem is, with a 69-inch wingspan, he's going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage when it comes to some of the strikers at the top of the lightweight division. And there's also the chance that if Volkanovski gets through Yair Rodriguez and Islam Makhachev wins his next fight and they run it back and Alex is able to get the job done for champ status, maybe in the near future Volkanovski gets tired of cutting so much weight and just goes up to 55, and then Max reclaims his position on top of the featherweight division. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Who's next for Max? Thanks for watching.